call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mayor Knauss,
Here.
Mr. Donahue,
Yes, here.
Mr. Hammond.
I saw
He's
him.
here.
He was there.
He's here. I think he froze,
He
but he's
froze.
here. That's fine. Mr. Marino,
Here.
It looks
Mr.
like he's
Treaty?
frozen.
Here.
Mr. McQueen is absent. Is Zamara?
Here.
Notice of this meeting was provided to the Bernardsville News, Courier News, and the Star Ledger, filed with the municipal clerk and posted on the municipal bulletin board on December 24th, 2020. Let me just get my picture up. And whoops. You see that? What happened? There we go. All right, it's there. All right, let's stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
The flag
of the United
of the United States of
States
America,
and to the
to the
republic
republic for which it stands,
for which it stands,
one nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
for all. Okay, moving along on the agenda. We are ready for our presentation. I think I see everybody here. I see Vicky. So Vicky Malloy is with Concord. And I know we had, I think Jeff and myself, and I think John have already met with Vicky and talked about the energy aggregation program that, oh, Alan's here too. I see Alan. Yeah. And so we asked that they come and explain it to the whole council so that you have a good understanding of what this is. It's a really good way for us, for our residents, to get a better rate on their electric without changing carriers. And I think that's the key part. They are still Jcp L customers, but by joining a consortium, we can opt for some better rates. It gives us a little more buying power. So they are going to explain what the program is and the different consortiums that are out there. So I don't know, do you want to share your screen, Vicki? Do you need to?
Sure. Thanks, Mayor. Hello, everybody.
Wait, everybody wait.
Okay. Can everybody see my screen?
Yep.
All right, great. Thanks. Today I'm going to give a presentation on community energy aggregation. This is in accordance with the Government Energy Aggregation Program. The state of New Jersey, Title 14 governs this program. So I'm going to give you just a little bit of background on energy deregulation. Energy deregulation in the state of New Jersey happened in the year 2000. Prior to 2000, the power plants provided all of the electricity. They produced and provided all the electricity directly to the local electric company, the utility, Jcp L, PSE&G, which then provided it directly to businesses and homeowners across the state. After deregulation, electric suppliers became involved, where the power plants were no longer owned by the utilities. They provided all of the power that they produced to an electric supplier, which then provided the electricity directly to the local distribution company, the utility, and then directly to the businesses or homeowners that were using that electricity. It's energy choice, customer choice legislation. The Board of Public Utilities website has a whole facts on, energy switching. It's kind of similar to when Bell Atlantic allowed you to choose a long distance provider through AT&T or MCI at a better price. So it's very similar. Energy deregulation now allows you to look for different rates, different options through third-party suppliers. So the state of New Jersey holds an auction, an online auction every February. And in this auction, it's the bgsauction.com, they actually award the suppliers who are going to be providing 100% of the electricity needs for the state of New Jersey consumers. These are the winners of the BGS auction in 2021. All of these winners are supplying electricity to Atlantic City Electric, Jcp L, PSE&G, or Orange and Rockland. So what is community energy aggregation and how does that work? So the aggregation process, it kind of works in parallel to the state's process where we look at aggregating more on a local level. We have a bunch of co-ops that are formed and I'm going to go into them a little bit later in the slides. So we kind of work in parallel to the state's process where the BGS auction is held every February. We can hold our auction at any time. And we tend to try to look for, favorable market conditions when we're going out for bids. Where the BGS auction sets the utility default rate, the community energy aggregation process will also set a program rate for the residential community within your town. The BGS auction, the new rates take effect in June of every year, but we can actually be agile and, depending on when we go out for bid, we can look for different times for those programs to start. And we're always looking to be lower than the utilities default rate when we go out to bid. So community energy aggregation is governed by the Administrative Code Title 14. And this is where you find all the rules and regulations that govern government energy aggregation, what to do, the steps that are involved in the process. So this is the services that we actually bring to the table when we represent towns for community energy aggregation. Again, it replaces the default rate with a new price based on the community's local usage. We look to purchase bulk electricity from a third party supplier. A lot of the suppliers that provide the state's electricity, they're the big guys. We open it up not only to the big guys, but also to regional suppliers, local suppliers, that all the suppliers are approved by the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities. They have a license with the Board of Public Utilities, and they have to be in good standing with the Board of Public Utilities. Communities are able to obtain rate reductions on their energy costs. Although we can't guarantee month-to-month savings because JCP&L's rate fluctuates, we do look for savings over the term of the agreement. Sometimes there may be a little bit of a fluctuant in pricing where, we kind of missed maybe 1 month. But we look to obtain savings over the term of the agreement. And so far with all of our communities, we've saved them a lot of money. And we track actual savings. We don't track projected savings. So we actually track the savings for each town. And we actually give you that information on our website, which is njaggregation.us. And I'm going to get a little bit more into that a little bit later. So everything's transparent and the residents can track their savings as well if they choose to be a part of this program. The one thing that's different with this program than with, a resident picking a third-party supplier and signing their contract is that it comes with a lot of consumer protections that are not normally available. There's no termination fees. You can get in and out of the program. It's whenever you want, how often as you want. You can go and choose a separate third-party supplier. You can come back into the program. The town is just actually giving the resident another choice, right? So you can stay with the utility. You can choose to participate in the town's program, or you can choose another third-party supplier if that's something that you choose to do. It's all about just giving them choice. So what's the process for the town to, set up a community energy aggregation program? So the first step is to adopt an ordinance, which basically says that, you're going to look to do this program on behalf of the township's community. It doesn't say that you must do it. It's just giving you the option to do it. There's a resolution to join, if you join a cooperative, which we have a lot of cooperatives that are out there, which gives you greater buying power because, the towns have all joined together to create, larger bulk purchase of energy. So there's a resolution to adopt to join the cooperative, which is filed with the Department of Community Affairs. And then there's some agreements like the local distribution agreement, which is Jcp L's agreement, which allows us to receive the historical usage, the summary data for the bidding process. And then also to the government aggregation agreement, which is our agreement, which basically details all of the services that we're going to provide on behalf of the town. So we prepare and we submit all the bid documents. The New Jersey Board of Public Utilities and Division of Rate Counsel have oversight on this program. So they review every piece of material, every bid documentation, every single letter that goes out to a resident, every piece of mail that goes out to a resident. Everything has to be run by them first, so that way they can review it and provide their comments. Once they do that, all of those comments come back to the township too as well. So you will see everything, and all of their comments and reviews and recommendations with regards to all the documents that's used to facilitate this program. Once we have all of that information finalized, we set up a date to hold an energy auction. And if we are favorable in our pricing, there's a selection of a winning bidder. The energy auction bid for the program rate must be lower than Jcp L or PSE&G's BGS rate at the time of bid. So we look at that. We also look historically to see where their pricing has been. And we also look to see forwardly also too where pricing is going and where it may be. And we bring that, information back to the lead agent at the co-op or to the town if they're doing it by themselves. So once we get into a program, then we begin outreach to the residents about the program. We highly recommend a robust outreach program, especially at the beginning. We've had towns that have been in this program since 2015, and the residents all know about it. So, they actually call us to say, how long can I get back in this program? Or if the program has stopped, when are you guys going to be starting the program back out? But initially for the town, especially if it's a new program for the town, we highly recommend a really robust outreach program. Everything is going to be sent via first-class mail to the residents. Nobody's going to be calling them. Nobody's going to be knocking on their door. We're going to hold public outreach meetings, and we can be very creative with the town to decide what type of outreach and educational efforts that we're going to put in place. You may have, senior community that you want us to touch, or different types of communities that you want us to touch maybe a little bit differently. So we can discuss that and set up, a customized outreach plan with you. We do prepare a video in English, and if you want us to put it in Spanish, we can put it in Spanish too, which is available for, residents if they want to go online and just look at that. And we do have a customized webpage, which I talked about a little bit earlier, which is njaggregation.us. So all of the information that we send out to the residents is hosted on that webpage. They can find out when the meeting dates are, and they can set up, their own little account, and they can track their savings to there. So, and then at the end of the process, when the program ends, we repeat the auction process, and this process continues. You don't need to redo the ordinance, the resolutions, or the agreements, but everything else follows through. So here's some of the details once the program is started, once a supplier is awarded, there's an initial 30-day window for the residents to decide if they want to stay in the program or not. All of the residents, eligible residents, are automatically included unless they opt out. This is part of Title 14. It's part of the statutes. It's part of how the program is currently run by the Board of Public Utilities. So anyone who chooses not to opt out of the program will be enrolled in the program. We cannot enroll, if we get return mail, we have to opt them out, right? Because it's basically like they didn't see that mail. So we have to opt them out. Eligible residents, they are residents that are currently not with a third-party supplier, or they don't have solar. And we don't include solar customers who have solar because of their net metering credits. The way that the utilities credit the net metering credits, they credit them on the BGS portion. If you go to a third-party supplier, then they lose those credits on the supply portion of the bill. So we don't like to include them. However, especially if they have a large system, but if they want to join, you know, we can talk to them and review with them, and they're always welcome to join, but we just don't automatically include them at the onstart. So, you know, we provide for residents to opt out mail returns. We have a postcard, which is first class mail. They just put it in the mail. We have a toll-free 800 number. We have a data center in Butler, New Jersey, which handles all of our opt-outs. It's just an opt-out data center. There is not a sales unit there, so they handle all the opt-outs. And of course, they can go on our website and opt out too as well. Residents can decide at any time after the program begins to discontinue participation, and there's never any termination fees or other penalties. We also offer a permanent opt-out feature, which a resident who says, I don't ever want to be included in this, I don't want to get any more mail, so we put them on a permanent opt-out feature. So if the program goes into consecutive programs, they're not included. They can always opt in, they can always call us to opt in, but they won't be included in any future programs that the town decides to move forward with. All current services offered by the utility, delivery, meter readings, billing, payment processing, emergency services, remain serviced by the utility. The utilities make money on the electrodes that run on the wires. That's where they make money, is on the delivery. They don't care who the supply comes from. They're revenue neutral on the supply charges. As you know, I said earlier, all of the supply comes from the third-party suppliers from the BGS auction. Residents will continue to call their utility for service-related questions or outages. The guys that are servicing, they don't know who's in a program, who's not in a program. And Jcp L actually has a really good web page, which is their customer choice web page, which basically spells out the same information. So nobody at Jcp L is going to get hurt if a resident decides to participate in this program. Residents are still going to receive one bill every month from the utility. We do offer budget billing within the program. So that's the equal payment plan or budget billing. So that is something that the suppliers do offer for residents who want that to continue that program or want to be a part of that program. And there's never any fees to be a part of the program. And no one from the program will ever call or knock on any resident's door regarding this program. All the information that they're going to get is via US mail or through the township's website. So here's a sample Jcp L bill. The only thing that is going to change with regards to a consumer's bill is where it says basic generation service right here. That charge is going to change to say, you know, community energy aggregation supplier, you know, direct energy, and then their price. Jcp L's bill, in the left-hand side of the bill, you can see every month they give you a monthly price to compare. So everything is very transparent. The residents can see how much they're saving on a monthly basis if they don't set up an account with us online. And I have the PSE&G bill on here because some of the Somerset towns have PSE&G. So the program benefits. There's a lot of consumer protections. There's no predatory contracting. There's no fees of any kind. And there's protection against seasonal or short-term fixed and variable rates. Nothing like what happened in Texas ever happens in this program because we have fixed contracts, right? The rate is fixed through the term. So there's not going to be where they're on a variable type contract, similar to what happened in 2014 with the polar vortex, and the rates went through the roof, and a lot of people who were on variable type contracts got really hurt. So this program protects residents against that. We offer reduced rates and budget stability so that fee stays flat through the term. There's flexible participation for the residents. They can opt in and out as much as they want, whenever they want. All the current services are still provided by the utility. They're still going to get one bill from the utility. Budget billing and equal payment plans are offered. And all outreach is done by our teams and customized and tailored to your municipality. So we don't have any third parties coming in and doing it. We actually have a team of people that go out and do the outreach. And then we offer the reporting tool, as I said before. This is a great tool for the municipalities. All of your documents are stored on there. You will have an online access, and you can print reports for, how many people have opted out, how many people have opted in, and what your savings is on a monthly basis. So one of the things that we are starting to incorporate in our community energy aggregations is a renewable component. We're offering it right now as an option for residents to choose 100% renewable, and I'm going to go in a little bit into that a little bit later. But there is a renewable energy aggregation part to this program, which enables the municipality to influence the source of electricity in the region. Of course, it provides, all of the renewable energy environmental benefits. One of the loopholes in Title 14 is that the cost savings over utility price to compare is not mandated. So when you're going out to bid, the price doesn't have to be lower if you're including more renewable energy than what is required by the state of New Jersey. And you do have the potential to earn points with Sustainable Jersey through an RGEA program. And there's different points for an additional 10%. I think it's 20 points for an additional 20%. I think it's 40 points. And just by submitting an ordinance which says that you're going to do a renewable energy program, you get 5 points. So this is really interesting. And I put this in the slide just as an education process within the state of New Jersey. And this was actually started by Governor Christie, which was later enhanced by Governor Murphy and turned into the Clean Energy Program. We have renewable portfolio standards, RPS. In the energy world, everybody likes to use acronyms, but this is the amount of renewable energy that is required by each supplier, the third-party supplier that's bringing electricity into the state. They have to have this percentage of renewable energy within their mix of energy that comes into the state. And currently for planning year, June 1st, 2021 through May 31st, 2022, we're at 23.5% renewable, which includes class 1, class 2, solar. So it includes a combination of all of those. If you look at 2025, we jump up to 37.5%. And by 2030, we're at 52.5%. And the governor has goals to hit 100% by 2050. So when we talk about renewable energy being more than the state required, we're talking about these renewable portfolio standards that are mandated by the state of New Jersey. So with regards to this, we found that the Delta, a lot of our programs, they want to offer the savings to the residents. And there are programs where they want renewable energy too as well. So we figured we would offer kind of a hybrid where we go in for the default, which is the savings, and then we offer the renewable energy part, the higher renewable energy, to residents who want to opt up into that, right? So if you take no action, if you don't opt out and you don't opt up, you're automatically included in the basic rate, which has the 23.5% renewable energy. If you opt up, we've been opting up into 100% renewable. So then that's the resident's choice if they want to take the higher renewable option. And, you know, that information is very clear on the information that is sent to the residents, and actually how to do that. They can call us, they can do it online, or they can send the card in and actually opt up there. So this is some of the cooperative experience that, you know, we've been running. Morris Area Energy Cooperative, which was established in 2015, is our longest running cooperative. Wharton is lead agent. We actually have, I believe, 14 towns. We added Jefferson Township this year in Denville. We've had 2 auctions and 3 program extensions. Sussex Warren area was established in 2016. We also have 14 towns in that one. That one's 3 auctions and 1 program extension. The Hunterdon Area Energy Cooperative, this is one of our newer cooperatives. It was established in 2018 with just 3 towns. And then, as you can see, there's a mix of probably 4 counties worth of towns in here. We have Essex, we have Middlesex, we have Hunterdon, we have Morris, all in this co-op. So this is just an example of the program rates that we have: 0867, and then for the 100% enhanced renewable energy, it was 0878. So this was actually, we've actually had about a 15% opt up for the 100% renewable within this co-op. We have the Monmouth Area Energy Cooperative, which was established in 2019. We have 5 towns in this. We've had 1 auction, 2 program extensions, and we just won the Sustainable Monmouth Alliance, which is established in 2021. And these are the towns that are participating in that. And they're in the process of adopting their ordinances and signing the program agreements now.
Vicki, I know they have to get the public meeting. So just out of respect to the public, the board, perhaps I know there's some other things we want to get to, but if we could just wrap up and see if they have any questions, just so we could let them move on.
Sure. Thanks, Alan.
Mm-hmm.
So just a little bit about our team. I'm not going to read through all of this, but we currently have 63 towns currently under contract, 45 towns in active contracts, and we're managing the largest GA cooperative in the state with 18 municipalities. Thank you. I can't hear you, Mayor. I think
Yeah.
you're muted.
You know, like this thing always, you're on mute. Sorry about that. I know John and Jeff have both heard this presentation, but does any other council people have questions? To me, it sounds like it's a win-win. I know I spoke to some council people from PPAC Gladstone who've been in this program 2 years, maybe. I think a couple of years.
Yes.
And their residents love it. They've gotten some really good savings. And I think the best part about it is the residents won't even notice other than the savings, because they're still getting that same Jcp L bill in the mail that they always got. They're still seeing the Jcp L trucks when there's a power outage. So it's just a great way for us to provide our residents with some savings by joining one of these cooperatives and getting a better rate.
So Mayor, is that the local reference that we have? I'm still a suspect. I didn't hear succinctly what they do and what they're going to do for us. So I'm trusting your reference here.
Yeah, I think I also talked to, I can't remember his name, Clinton. Is it Clinton? The mayor, Clinton?
Okay.
Yes. And I don't know why my camera went out.
Mayor Daniels and Calathon perhaps, or Mayor Chegwood and Wharton?
Yeah, I think I talked to both of them. Like whoever was at your last meeting, you had a couple of people from other towns there that are, I think, largely in the Hunterdon Cooperative. I think they were from. And they all had positive things to say. It's really just, you know, it's like any kind of cooperative. The more people that join together and go out for bid, the better odds that you get a good price.
So what is it exactly though? So you said about the delivery fee, right? So we use JCP now for electric here. I'm assuming this is only electric and not gas. I can't remember correctly, but if we're focusing on electric and you said the delivery fee doesn't change, what is it that?
The supply.
The supply.
And by how many percent? Do you guarantee a percentage that you're going to be able to collectively purchase
No.
in an advantage situation?
No.
Basically, what right now you're getting, the state is doing the auction for you. So the state is deciding who your supplier is through their auction. And because it's statewide, a lot of the companies don't have enough capital to bid on the statewide. But what we could do is we can coordinate with a few towns so the load isn't as big and more people with less capital can bid. And because you have more bidders, more competition, you tend to get lower prices. And as Vicky said, because JCP&L changes their prices now month to month, we can't guarantee every month, but through the history of the program, every program has saved money over the year. And it averages, I believe, about 9%. Vicky can correct me right now, and it's ranged from a little under 9% to 20%, which was an aberration, and that's just on the supply. And we can have other mayors, as we've had in the past, have come. When we had Denville, we had 4 mayors there to talk about their experiences, and we've had administrators speak to it as well.
Do you have like a side by side of the numbers over the last 2 years?
I could send you that information.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
Anybody else have questions?
I did have a question. Actually, this is the third time I've heard this presentation, and every time I keep thinking of something new, and I suspect that that'll be the norm for the average resident as well. But correct me if I'm wrong here, is the fee fixed in terms of your monthly charges or no?
So when we go out to auction, when we go out to bid, the rate is flat throughout the term. Yes. So,
Right. So
it's not variable.
That's the rate, but that's not your monthly bill will be variable depending upon how much energy you use for that particular month. Is that correct?
That's correct. The price that we get is a price per kilowatt hour. So each resident uses energy differently. So they're just going to pay that rate per kilowatt hour.
Okay, so I think that's an important distinction for the public to understand, is that when you're talking about the flat rate, we're talking about the rate per kilowatt hour, not the rate they're going to pay month to month to month.
Correct.
Right.
Okay.
I personally would like to see the side-by-side comparisons as best as they can do them. Are you guys a for-profit company, I'm guessing?
Yes, we are.
And you guys make money on the spread, I'm guessing,
Yes.
is where you make your money?
Yes, our fee is included in the program rate, and it's about $7 a resident.
It's a
annually.
specified contractual amount that doesn't vary. That's transparent prior to.
It's included in all the bid documents that we send to the Board of Public Utilities and Ratepayers Advocate, and you get a copy of all of the bid documents too as well.
Mayor, may I just clarify a few points?
Sure.
So, so just to be clear, correct me if I'm wrong, Vicky and Alan, but essentially, JCP&L or PSC&G, they charge customers for the delivery. So that's the infrastructure to get the power to your home. And then they go out into the broad marketplace and say, gee, we're going to need this much energy from around the United States or wherever they get it to supply all our customers. The co-op, the Morris County Co-op and other co-ops, they went out to bid to get proposals from firms like yours to be the representative for all the towns. So now, instead of like a different salesperson or company that's trying to sell this coming to each individual towns, the towns did it collectively to find someone to help them do it. So they know they're getting the best rate from the consultant. Correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, what happens, like, and what Alan, what you were saying is because we're a smaller market, the utility, what the utility can't do that we can do as a co-op is to say, hey, if we give you some really fine details about the size of our demand and our very specific climate and our very specific clientele and their usage patterns, would you be able to like take a really scalpeled look at what you can charge them that's better than the utility? Is that essentially what happens?
Yes,
Essentially, yes.
you're correct.
Mhm.
Let me ask a question. If whatever the state rate is on their bid, and then we do a separate bid, does ours, suppose the one you do for us comes in higher than the state bid, then what do we do?
We don't move forward. So we don't recommend that we move forward with the program. We actually,
It'll never go up, the cost will never be more than what the resident is currently paying.
And there's protections in Title 14 for that, which is why this was instituted, because there was those cases of fraud that would come through for consumers in towns, and they get promised a low rate, and then all of a sudden it would jack up and they'd be locked into a contract.
So the worst case scenario is that you get no reduction, but we have no out-of-pocket costs.
that's correct. There is no cost to the town for implementing or facilitating this program.
And that's, just to be clear, that's the cost on any given month, because it was stated earlier that we could have a higher rate in a certain month.
But that would
This is just for the residential community. So the town is just facilitating this program to help its community to lower its rate.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, Mary Jane, I don't think that the question that you asked was the same answer.
No,
It was in a given month. I think you asked, could the rate be the state rate that you would be leaving? Could that be lower in a given month? And the answer is yes. But over a year period, ours traditionally has been lower. And if it's not, then we would return you to the state program.
After the fact.
Yeah,
Well,
so there are protections in the agreements, which basically say, let's just say that for some reason, and statutes within New Jersey procurement law, we have to follow them to a T. We can't have this program go any longer than an initial 24-month period. So let's just say that we started the program in October, and then the new rate gets set and it comes out in June and it's lower. And this has happened in one of our programs. We have a couple of protections built into the bid documents that we send out to the suppliers. The first protection is that if the program rate with the utility drops lower than our program rate for the township, we have the ability to go back to the supplier and renegotiate the rate. And if we can't get it lower, then we can send everybody back to the utility. So that way they're paying the lowest rate.
Okay,
So those are the protections.
Sorry, when you say we can send them back to the utility, is that after the 24 months or is that within the 24 months?
That's within the 24 months,
Within the
once we
24.
know where the rates are. Now, like I said, the utility rate can adjust on a monthly basis. So it doesn't protect us against that. JCP&L's rates in the winter months, October through May, that's considered the winter months, are actually higher than they are in the summer months. So in the summer months, we tend to see where the residents, depending on their usage, There's a step rate, they might be saving more if they're using a lot, and if they're not using so much, their savings, maybe $1 or $2. But in the winter months, their savings can be as high as, $10 to $20. This winter alone in March, we had rates over 10 cents. All of our programs were in the 8-cent range. So it was 2 cents a kilowatt hour. So for an average user of 600 kilowatt hours per month, I mean, that was pretty substantial. It was about a $12 savings a month for those
Vicky.
residents during the winter months.
Vicky, if
Yeah.
I already had another provider, so I left the utility company and I went and I did it on my own. Would I be left in there, or would I have to opt out of this program?
So if you were with a third-party supplier, you would not be considered an eligible resident. So you would not be automatically included when the program started, but you could always opt in to the town's program at any time. We would just recommend that you review the fine print and make sure that there's not any termination fees, or just wait till the program ends and then jump into the town's program.
And just to be clear, churches, schools, companies, businesses, they're not included in this, and they can't if they wanted to, they couldn't.
That's correct. Right now, the switching data, which is available in the state of New Jersey, about 80% of businesses have already chosen a third-party supplier.
Right.
So, we haven't really found a value in including, the businesses. So no, they're not included. Only residential rate tariff customers are included in this program.
And what percentage of residents in a given town, let's say like ours, already go to a third party?
About 20%.
Already there. Okay.
And just to be clear, Tom, if anybody is already in a third party, we don't even get those names. So we won't even be able to, if we wanted to, reach out to those people that already have a third party supplier. But if they find out about it, they could cancel and then opt into it.
I have a question about that. Speaking of the opting in and out, and forgive me for I'm not familiar with the Title 14 that you mentioned, but is the opt out part of Title 14? Is that like written up there where the opt out has to be in effect?
So just to make sure that I understand what you're asking.
Like the opt out. So like you'd say, is anyone choosing not to opt out? Like is the opt out where it's like, so in other words, residents have to opt out in order not to be like part of the program, right?
You're correct.
That's part of the legislation. Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah. And they found that's honestly because that's the only way it really works, because you won't have enough people opt in to make the economics work.
Okay. And so at the end of a contract, let's say whatever the end of the contract, if a resident, let's say I decided to opt out at the beginning of the contract and then it ends and it goes through the process again. If there's a new contract, I would automatically get opted into the new one unless I opt out to unless I opt out of that as well.
Yes, unless you permanently opted out to not be included in any programs in the future. And we give you that option right on the opt-out card that you send in.
Okay.
And it's in the information package too that we send to each resident, that's an option for them.
And you do say that they have 30 days from the initial to opt out. If they miss that 30-day cutoff, they still can opt out at any point?
Yes.
Okay.
And you could opt in and out at any point at no cost. And as Vicky referenced, we do it's a very aggressive marketing program, as aggressive as the town would like. We work with your town to make sure whatever you think is necessary in terms of in-person meetings or mailings, having a link on your website or a page on your website, whatever you think would be most effective to make sure that everyone is aware of what's going to happen and how it's going to happen.
Okay. And then just a quick geography question. I noticed that, you have Morris County in terms of the cooperatives, you have Morris County, Hunterdon County, Bergen County, Monmouth County, Gloucester. I didn't see, I know it, again, this is just part of knowledge, but there were no, Somerset County doesn't listed there, is that just because the process is beginning with Somerset County? Are other communities
So-
being,
So let me just give you a little bit of background, Matt. The county, Somerset County, actually went to be the lead agent for a government energy aggregation program, which Concord was a part of the team that was chosen to lead and facilitate that program with the towns in the county that wanted to join up. And this was back in 2015. This was right after all of the solar stuff happened. So the towns really, we didn't get a very favorable response with the towns. And I believe that we actually provided a presentation to your town. I can't remember for sure, but it was just when the program was starting and there wasn't a lot of favorable, towns didn't really want to learn more about it at the time. So Somerset County did want to start it as the lead agent. So the county was going to be the heavy, do all the bidding, do all the documents, make sure that everything was in accordance with procurement law and basically manage the process on behalf of all the towns. But unfortunately, it just never went anywhere.
Yeah, but we do have a lot of other towns that have interest now in Somerset,
Yes,
and they were at
we do.
at Raritan College, and some towns I think Mayor Knus is familiar with, very also in the Somerset Hills and some nearby.
okay,
So,
Thank you.
so Vicky and Ellen, Vicky, you mentioned third party fine print. What's your fine print? What should our residents be concerned about, or at least aware of, if we were going to do this, if they were going to sign on?
So there's no fine print with this program. I mean, everything is pretty, basic. There's no fees, there's no penalties, there's no monthly fee. Like a lot of third-party suppliers out in the marketplace, they'll put a really low teaser rate out there, and then they charge you a $10 monthly fee, right? So it wipes out any savings. So it's kind of like an optical illusion. We're just giving residents another choice, a good choice, and it's up to them whether they want to participate or not.
And the legislation was meant for that, to protect the consumer, to give the opportunity for savings because of the economics of how we do it. So the worst thing is sometimes it seems too good to be true, or people might confuse it with something that was one of the shadier schemes, which is why this legislation was in place. Some people, don't like they don't like that they have to opt out. But again, that's how it works economically. And some people sometimes say, well, government shouldn't dictate this. And we say, but Trenton's dictating it now. This brings it closer to home and you have more control and get savings. So that's just sort of the feedback that we've heard with the other towns over the years.
Okay, any other questions? I'd like to kind of wrap this up because we've got a full agenda here tonight.
Yeah, I have just one more. I wanted to ask about your competition. So, I mean, you guys are here tonight. We don't have any other presentations on the same kind of thing, but who would you consider your competition, and why is it better to go with you guys versus your competition?
So there's a couple of other companies that are providing the same services as we are. Do they do it the same way that we do? No. Do they have the website that we have, which makes it transparent? No. But you're more than welcome to talk to them and understand how, the services that they put in place and what they provide on behalf of the communities that they represent.
Yeah, the more you could educate yourself, then it should speak for itself. That's certainly, we'd encourage you to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
To answer,
thank you.
to respond to Councilman Marino's point about where is Somerset County, PPEC Gladstone is part of the program. That was mentioned in one of the slides here. And I know that at the initial meeting that the mayor and I attended, one of the council people from PPEC Gladstone was there and spoke really highly of the program. So we do have some nearby local experience that's very positive.
good to know. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Vicky and Alan, for being here tonight. And we'll be in touch.
Thank you for your time.
Thank
Have a
you
good
very
evening.
much. Thank you.
Thanks for the presentation.
Have a
Thank you.
good evening.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
You
Bye-bye.
too. All right, we are now at the public open session. So if anyone from the public would like to make a statement or say something, please keep your comments to 3 minutes, give your name and address. And if you can either raise your hand in the screen or put the little hand symbol up so I know that you would like to speak. I know Sam does, so I'm going to
Yes.
call on Sam first.
I'll be very quick because obviously you guys have a lot to do. I just wanted to come back and remind everybody about the strategic plan, our first meeting for the SHSD that'll be taking place on October 21st. Hopefully at this point in time, all council and the mayor have received invitations from the district. And I just had a few more details regarding what that first night will look like. And just to reiterate that participation can be in one or all of the sessions. We are going to do pre-registration in front of every meeting, and the registration for this one will close on Sunday evening, the 17th, so that they can collate everything. And just, again, to reiterate, this is to discuss the strengths and challenges that our district, is undergoing and facing, and in, any challenges that the public may be bringing to the meetings. We would hope that those challenges refer specifically to things that pertain to our district. So strengths you see in our district or challenges specific to our district, and not something maybe that's more comparative to communities across the country or nationally, but we want to keep that really laser focused on what specifically is and is not happening in our district. And then I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of what the night would look like. So there will be an introduction by our board president. There will be a state of the district by our superintendent, Dr. Dempsey. There will be small group breakout from there. And then ideally will be everyone coming back together for readouts from those respective groups. And, that's what we're looking at. It'll be a couple hours in length. Each one is to begin at 7 p.m. And again, at this point, we have 67 people pre-registered, which kind of blows away the last level of participation. We recognize that all of those people may not show up, but that's really great jumping off point. And we welcome, as many people who would like to participate. The more input, the better. So that's pretty much what I have to share. If there's anything I didn't touch on, if you guys have any questions, just let me know. But we're looking forward to getting rolling.
Sam, I had it in my schedule, but I didn't say if it was live or virtual.
Oh, it's live. It's in person.
I gotta put something other than pajamas on, huh?
Yeah. And you need to register, otherwise they might turn you away because there's only first come, first serve people, which
Okay,
I think I did already.
I guess I need to do more than just put it in my calendar. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
What are the
already
dates?
registered. I registered. Yeah, thank you
Yay.
for the invitation. Yes, it was
Great.
very easy to register right from that invitation. So for those of you that would like to go, make sure you check that email.
Great.
What other dates for the public? What other dates other than October 21?
So it's
there were
October
three, if I
21.
remember correctly, there are 3 sessions.
Correct. It's October 21st, November 11th, and December 13th, all starting at 7 p.m.
And each will have its own registration period.
Correct. Yep, that will come out in advance.
Mrs. Friend, I pulled up your email that I used for my calendar, but I don't see a link. I must be looking in the wrong place.
Yeah, it should have come from either
Got it.
Dr. Dempsey or the district, and there should be an embedded link in the invitation.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. All right.
Okay,
Thank you, Sam.
my pleasure. Thanks so
Oh,
much, everybody.
Yeah. Would anyone else from the public like to speak? I am not seeing any other hands. Going once. All right, I will close the public session. Moving on to items of business. I will open the public hearing on Ordinance 2021-1894, authorizing and encouraging electric vehicle supply service equipment and make-ready parking spaces, and supplementing and amending Article 12 of the Borough Land Use Regulations entitled Zoning. Would anyone from the public like to be heard on this ordinance? And again, this is following, the state has put this ordinance in place for the entire state. They're just asking that municipalities follow suit, but it's already in law. Anyone? Not seeing any hands, I will close the public hearing. Okay, I don't know, I guess this is,
Yeah, this came back from the planning board, Mayor.
okay, you want to move it then?
Yeah, I'll move it, and I just have
Comment.
one piece of information before we vote, if you don't mind. So
Go ahead.
I move to pass ordinance 2021-1894 in final reading and adopt as published.
Do you have a second?
Second.
And just before we take the roll call, if it's permissible, just so everyone's aware, because my big issue was consistency between master plan and this new state ordinance, and it was indeed inconsistent in regards to the number of spaces. So we are modifying our master plan to be 2 spaces per 100 to be consistent with the state ordinance. So just so everyone knows, this is that portion of the master plan is coming back, and we asked Frank to put it on the planning board meeting for our next opportunity.
Great, thank you.
Can I ask a question just about the, maybe Councilman McQueen can answer this, having been on the planning board. I didn't fully understand section 1D, and I read it a couple of times, but it was confusing to me. So before we vote, can you explain, it's talking about as a condition for new construction, that they mentioned 15% be set aside of off-street parking for EVSE. But then it talked about 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, and I didn't really gather what they're trying to say here. It was confusing to me, and I don't know if it would be confusing to a builder. Do you have an idea? Can anybody explain that section?
I'm looking at, give me 30 seconds to refresh my memory here. Yeah,
They're talking about within 3 years, you have to do 1/3 of the 15%. But to me, that doesn't really make sense, because the cost of these things is in the implementation.
Yeah,
you'd be wiser to do it all up front, because if you do it 3 years, 6 years later, you're spending more money.
look, I don't want to put conjecture on why the state would have done what they did. But maybe they're just trying to provide some flexibility at the town level, Jeff. You know, if they want,
I mean, it's not going to keep me from voting for this. I mean, I'm an advocate of this, obviously from prior comments, but
yeah,
I just wanted to really understand what they're trying to require people to do.
Yeah, I don't know, and I would be guessing this, I think, as much as you are.
Yeah, I guess if they don't want to do it all at once, it does give them some flexibility. It would be more expensive to do it over time, but if they don't have all that money up front to do the whole thing, maybe that's gives them an option. Who knows? Yeah, it's a good question. All right, any other questions on this? Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Donahue,
Yes.
Mr. Hammond,
Yes.
Mr. Marino,
Yes.
Ms. McCready,
Yes.
Mr. McQueen,
Yes.
Ms. Zamara.
Yes.
All right, I will open the public hearing on ordinance 2021-1897, amending chapter 4 of the Borough Code entitled General Licensing by repealing section 4-3 entitled Automatic Coin or Electronic Amusement Devices. Would anyone in the public like to be heard on this ordinance? And what this was doing is we had something in the old code that said you could only have up to 4 vendor type machines, amusement machines, and with the trend now for people having arcades, whatever, we didn't want to hamper any new business that might want to do something like that.
And it also was inconsistent with our new master plan.
Yes, the new zoning, yeah, yep. Not seeing anyone from the public, so I will close the public hearing. You want to do that one too, Chad?
Sure. I move to pass ordinance 2021-1897 on final reading and adopt as published.
Second, that too.
Questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Ms. Samara,
Where'd you go? She's going in and out.
Yes.
Mr. McQueen,
Yes.
Ms. McCready,
Yes.
Mr. Marino,
Yes.
Mr. Hammond,
Yes.
Mr. Donahue,
Yes.
Okay. We now have ordinances for introduction. And before we do that, Tom, would you explain the background of this ordinance that we're going to introduce here?
Yes, so we've been trying to strategize how we can go about implementing the master plan that was recently adopted for Parks and Recreation. And really, there's not much we can do without having essentially shop drawings for a variety of the improvements that council wants to see. We have grant applications in for certain things like a pickleball court. We have needs such as reconditioning fields, looking at trail systems, all things that require licensed experts to start looking at and putting real plans together for us. And we also have a need for some very immediate improvements throughout our parks that have been identified in the master plan. Things ranging from benches, gazebos, picnic tables, reconditioning of fields, fence replacement, replacement of lights at the basketball court. So we see this as a deposit on the master plan, and we would like to get rolling.
So this will basically start the engineering process to get all
Yes.
this. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Let's see, that's technically recreation. So Matt, would you like to move that?
Yep, give me 1 second. Okay. I move that ordinance 2021-1898, an ordinance appropriating $250,000 from the Borough Open Space Trust Fund for improvements to municipal open space properties in accordance with the Open Space and Recreation Master Plan, be introduced by title, passed on first reading, published according to law, and that a public hearing be scheduled for a meeting beginning at 7 p.m. on Monday, October 25th, 2021.
I'll second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? None. Abstentions? Okay, thank you. Next is salary ordinance for the dispatchers. John, would you like to introduce that?
I moved to that ordinance 2021-1899, salary ordinance for the Borough Dispatchers who are members of the IBEW Local 1158. Be introduced by title, passed on first reading, and published according to law at a public hearing scheduled for 7 p.m. Monday, October 25th, 2021.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm
Opposed? None. Abstentions? None. Okay. Moving on to resolutions. We have 21-11 through 21-20. Any you'd like to discuss separately?
Yeah, 220.
Yeah, 220. What we've been, now that we have been designated a Main Street, there is an agreement that we signed with Main Street, New Jersey, that says, we had already agreed to the $12,000, which was the minimum payment. We are also need to document in-kind donations as well. And the borough, because there's an empty office in recreation and Downtown Bernardsville and Recreation have been working together to sponsor a lot of things and assisting each other. It was kind of convenient to have that empty office available. But rather than doing it informally, we wanted to have an agreement in place so that we have a document to give to Main Street to show that we are making in-kind donations as well. So that's where that came from. I asked Jack to draw something up that was formal.
Have we advertised this for a market rate at all?
It's an in-kind, so we're not charging for it. I think it's.
Well, how we advertise it? I mean, it's like we have a fiduciary obligation, and if we can get rent for it, we should. I mean, market rate rent.
But it's inside the recreation office, so the only people you could rent it to was recreation.
Well, let's say presumably are they going to eventually move to the Claremont facility, the 251 Claremont?
That's still not decided, is it, Tom?
Okay.
There's eventually it'll be an option. It's not an option today, and I don't see it being an option for a period of time, given what we've need to do to it for ADA accessibility and other roof leaks and things along those lines.
I mean, is there do they have the wherewithal to pay us something close to, you know, would be a calculated market rate without the money coming from us first? I mean, the related question is on the bills. Why are we paying downtown Bernardsville $2,000?
We're not paying them $2,000. We're paying
Twelve.
It is on bills.
12.
Well, we're paying, looks like there's disbursement for $2,000 on the itemized bill list.
It's probably part of the 12 that we agreed to pay.
Correct.
Yeah, it's in $2,000 a month. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think, is there any way to do like a tax write-off for this, for
Don't
not
pay
getting,
taxes. We're tax exempt.
Yeah.
like, and any kind of write-off or anything for doing this so that it's there other than a resolution?
It does go to Main Street, so it helps us to keep that designation. That's
And
part
that's
of
it.
what
Okay.
we have to do for the Main Street designation is show them that the borough supports Main Street.
And Tom, you're okay with this? And Bob, I guess? You guys are-
Actually, Bob
Yeah.
told her to just come on in, but we said, no, we can't do.
Yeah, when you enter the main suite for recreation, this is a little space off to the left that might be able to fit a small conference table, like a 6-person sort of table and some files. And we're not using it and don't plan on using it for recreational purposes at the moment.
Well, have you offered it up to any other civic groups or made it known that it's available that may find some utility for that space?
We have not. There is a so John, you raised the interesting question about bidding it. If Jack could speak more to this, but because downtown Bernardsville is a state sponsored program, that this is there's a unique consideration outside of normal purchasing laws or auctioning laws. So we're able to enter into this arrangement with them just as we would with a rescue squad or a library or a fire department type organization. But I believe any other entity, even a nonprofit one, it would have to be auctioned to the highest bidder.
Okay.
I think the value that we get from downtown Bernardsville far exceeds any kind of money that we could get.
Well, all I see is us writing
for this
checks.
cubicle, what it amounts to a cubicle. Come on.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
all I
I've
see is
seen
us
it. It's
writing
not-
checks though. I mean,
Definitely not a big space.
Anybody else? Any other, I was on the snow removal. That was a 10% increase from last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my question too, Mayor. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, and I'm just curious as to why no one else ever bids. I mean, how widely do we put this bid out?
I don't know where this one was, how widely this was circulated.
they've only been the
Specificity.
only bidder for 2 years now, I think, so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But if council, if you wanted to hold this for the next meeting, we can, I could get more information for you on that process.
I was surprised that we only get one bidder for this. I was surprised at the 10% increase, although with all the supply chain problems the world is having, that one I could explain away perhaps, but why we're so unattractive? Is it something about the way we put out the bid? Is it something that the process we use? You'd like to see a little bit more competition so we could get perhaps a better rate.
Yeah, it'd be good to have definitely more information, I think, on that one.
yeah, I think we can hold it up we have had snow in October, so I don't want to.
Don't jinx it. Don't jinx it.
I don't want to, put it off too long, but I think if we
Right.
wait one more meeting just till maybe we can find out, if anyone else even picked up bids or there was anyone interested, or I don't know.
Yeah, let me dive into that with John, and we'll get back to you.
Okay.
I know one of the big problems nationally is finding truck drivers, and maybe that's part of the problem, that a lot of services who might want to bid on it couldn't because they just don't have the personnel. But I'd like to know the backstory there.
Yeah, and we are generally a smaller contract. So there could be a number of factors at play, but
Sure, could be
I wasn't surprised, but and because of that, I didn't question it much. But let us get you some more information.
Thanks.
The question about 214, if I could, that relates to the engineering approval of the engineering contract for the pickleball. Totally in favor of this. I just had a detailed question. If it's going to be in the area of the current parking lot, the gravel parking lot near the basketball courts, is there going to be another parking lot constructed, or we feel we don't need that parking lot at all?
Oh, so very little of the parking lot is actually going to be impacted. There's space between the parking lot and the pool. And there's a corner of the pool property that's never used. So that the majority of the space we're going to grab for the pickleball courts is not in the parking lot.
And then the other the question related to that is, unless I missed it, and if I did, I apologize, but I didn't see where there was a due date to this report. When do we expect this to be completed? I don't think there's going to be any construction on pickleball. Obviously, we're waiting on the grants, but also probably nothing's going to happen until the spring. But should we not have some sort of milestone in there that the report is going to be due by such a date?
This is for the engineering work to prepare.
Yeah, I think he's looking at the Ferraro report, right, Jeff?
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct.
Jeff, we typically don't include that with our in-house engineer. We order stuff and it gets turned around quickly. We don't include those due dates for roads or other things that they do for us. We place the order and it's put in the pipeline.
Yeah.
Right.
And Jeff, I think I can say globally, and this is I'm sort of speaking. So as we're thinking of the financing for the master plan, there need to be deadlines, right? And I think that's sort of what you're saying, right? We need to put dates, we need to put them in stone, and we need to hold people accountable to them.
But I think that's fair. I mean, I think that you and I, the way we do business in our normal outside of council lives, is that they're usually when you enter into a contract or you get a services that you want to have, you have an expectation of when they're going to be completed.
Yeah.
I don't think it's critical, but I just, in this particular case, particularly since it's in-house, and I'll certainly defer to our business administrator's experience and expertise, but since we're paying somewhere in the order of $20,000 for something, I want to make sure that we get the report at the time we need it. So once we get the money, we can, and the weather's right, we can move forward.
Should we put a date in it? You want to put a date in?
How about this? If you move ahead with the approval pending insertion of a due date, we can certainly make sure the mayor doesn't sign a contract until that's in there.
Yeah, can we ask him what he thinks, I mean, for a projected date and see if it's something that's acceptable?
Yes, the only thing that I'm searching for now is any of this contingent upon outside agencies?
Yeah.
So
Oh,
that's my only hesitancy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Tom, I guess I'm going to ask globally, and I'm just speaking for myself. I don't know if the rest of the council feels this way. As we start to move, look, there's a bunch of planning that needs to get done. That was part of what just got moved forward for introduction. There's going to be additional things that we're going to discuss next week. I'd like to see deliverable dates on all of these items.
Of course, we'll push for that. We'll push for it. We'll make sure it's in there.
Yeah. And that way, at least, maybe, yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so we have taken off 21-219. Put that one off. We're modifying 21-214 to have a delivery date. Anything else?
I was just looking at, I wanted to ask about 220 again, about the, if we had like any insurance concerns or hold harmless or anything that we need to put in there, or are we just under our own insurance? I'm sure Jack thought of this. I just don't see it in the
I thought it was
resolution. I might be
It's
missing.
in the
220?
it's in the agreement.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you mean professional insurance by the engineer?
No, we're talking.
No. This is sorry, back to downtown Bernardsville, renting the space and recreation. I just want to make sure, but I mean, I'm sure Jack covered it and I'm probably just missing it, but.
May I just interject there and offer just an answer for you, Gina? Our organization does have full insurance coverage. And I do provide Anthony our COI every year for all the events we do and so forth. So that is on file. And then any hold harmless, I usually sign along that time too. So I assume this is all covered under the same thing because the information is the same. If anything is needed or I need to change any insurance on that note, obviously we're happy to do that to accommodate. But just so you know that our insurance is in place.
Yeah. I just know we go through a whole bunch of stuff, and every time we either rent something or whatever, we always either have to put us as a named insured or something on the insurance. I didn't know if we had all that covered. I just didn't see it in the resolution itself. So
actually in the agreement, it says that they release the borough and its agents from any liability or claims arising, blah, blah. So they have that language in there. So I think, yeah. And as long as you have your own, that's good.
Yeah. And we're already listed as a
additional insured.
Yeah, on your policy. Yeah. So, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
it's becoming an annual process. So yeah.
Thank you. Yes, we do it every year for all the people who rent the lights and everything else too. So yeah. Cool. Thank you. Okay, I'm good.
Okay. Would someone like to move 21-11 through 21-20 without 219 and with the modification to 214?
I'll do it.
So moved. And a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Donahue?
No.
Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
Mr. Marino?
Yes, with all the modifications and agreements, everything. Yes.
Ms. McCready?
Yes.
Mr. McQueen?
Yes.
Ms. Zamara?
Yes.
Okay, mayor's update. Fairly short. September 28th, Tom, Chief Valentine, and I met with a new resident who has only been here a month, but would like to donate defibrillators for installation into the police cars. It's a personal passion of hers, and we were excited to have her come forward. The 29th and 30th was the Governor's Conference on Housing and Economic Development, which was virtual. I attended some of the sessions, mainly talking about the different programs that are in place to support the businesses and residents. The 29th, I attended the Wreaths Across America that I don't know if anybody else had. I think, Chad, you were there. St. Elizabeth's School had the tractor trailer come in with a wonderful presentation on what they do for veterans. Is their goal is to put a wreath on every grave of every veteran. They even have a program in France and almost I think every state in the country. It started out with just Arlington Cemetery, and now they'll do every cemetery that has veterans graves. And we're actually going to try and get, they do Holy Cross, which is in Basking Ridge. But this year we're going to try and do St. Bernard's, which is in Bernardsville over on Washington Avenue, because there are, I believe, 238 veterans there. So look for more information on that. What you do is sponsor a wreath, and then you have volunteers place the wreaths on, and with a little ceremony, and you read the names of the veterans who are there. I attended the local emergency planning committee meeting that the chief had, basically reviewing the response to Hurricane Ida, what worked, what needs to be tweaked. I think overall the response was very positive, but there's always room to do these things differently. I attended the Main Street orientation training, which was a 3-hour program that was a webinar. It was actually almost overwhelming. There was so much information, so many resources. It is just incredible what this program is offering to our town. They will be coming in person to do training for all the volunteers that work on downtown. It's just an incredible list of resources that they have. So you'll be hearing more about that. Tom, Chris Colley, Joe DeMarco, and I met with our developer for Quimby, Peter Cocoziello, and I think we're pretty close to having that agreement finished up with him. I attended the community meeting that Downtown Bernardsville has quarterly. It was at the Bernardsville Theater. I think a pretty good turnout. And Olivia did a great explanation of Main Street, how it works, how it will affect Bernardsville, all the advantages of the program. So, and I think it's recorded. Didn't you record it? So I don't know, probably on the website. On the website. Yeah, people can see it.
on Facebook Live, yeah.
Okay. So if you couldn't come, it was really, really very informational. Then I attended the Somerset County Complete Count Committee, which was the group that we worked on the census. And I think most of the data is available if you go to website census.gov/data. They've made the webpage a lot more user-friendly. So if you want to look at data for Bernardsville or Somerset County, you can manipulate it and really get some good information from that census. On the 7th of October, we met with our new Jcp L external affairs consultant, Carol Bianchi, who has been an outstanding representative for us, has been promoted. And she's now in charge of emergency preparedness. And Jolanta Maziars is our new consultant. I have known Jolanta for a while. She is a committee person in Warren. She actually represented the borough. She worked for Steve Warner, who is the planning board attorney. Yes. So I think she'll do as good a job as Carol did for us. So that was exciting. Tom and I met with Olivia, and we'll probably be doing that on a monthly basis now that, to see how downtown Bernardsville and the borough can share different jobs, what downtown Bernardsville can take off our plate, and how we can help them. We talked about, possibly a part-time maintenance person that they could hire to help with the weeding and the garbage pickup. So there's a lot of different ways that we're going to be working together. And October 9th was the Apple Festival at the Farmers Market. Very well attended, and I got to draw the winning ticket for the basket of donated apples. And I think it was Dairy Queen they didn't have apple ice cream, but they did have pumpkin spice, so that was good too. And the apple cake from the baker at the Farmers Market. So that's my report. Tom, your report.
Right. Pumpkin spice season for sure.
Yeah.
Just five quick things. Next time we meet, we are going to have a resolution asking council to authorize the submission of our transit village application. That'll be on the agenda.
You were breaking up. Could you repeat that, Tom?
Our transit village application. Okay. Last week, the managers and supervisors received their mandatory training per the joint insurance fund on the various elements of our personnel policies procedures manual, particularly those related to the workplace environment and some of the new laws that have been put in place. I'm pleased to announce that visitors to the zoning and construction department will soon be able to make credit card payments either online or in person, and that we are securing some additional licenses where we can extend that opportunity to some other departments, but we're still waiting for some final analysis of that. But this is exciting. It's going to be part and parcel with some substantial upgrades to our web pages as well. I would like to make the council aware, and if we can all reach out to our contacts in the real estate community, that the new train station RFP is now online and available for anyone who is interested in submitting an application. The difference this time is we are not putting a time limit on the lease, and we, after consulting with New Jersey Transit, we feel confident that they're going to work with us in getting something that's reasonable and workable out into the marketplace, and they're going to work with us based on the responses. And then I want to thank council again for the appropriation with respect to the Open Space Trust Fund for the park development funds. And I noticed on our calendar for the town that the rec committee was listed tonight to meet, but that was moved to next Tuesday. So as not to conflict with council, and so that we can continue this conversation with them at that meeting. And that's all for my report. And I do have 2 items for executive session.
Okay, thank you. The Shamrock Shuffle, I saw, I think, is it Hillary, are you here? That was last year. It was a lot of fun. It was well attended. It was just a great event. So you're looking to do it again?
Yes, please. We'd like to do it again on March 19th. So right after St. Patrick's Day. And I think it was a great event last year. We had lots of help from the roads department, the fire and first aid, police, Bernards Township Board of Health. So very much appreciated last year. We've got the paperwork in already, and hopefully it can be another successful event.
Yeah, I agree. Anyone have any?
Yeah, just a technical question for Tom. I know in the finance committee, as we're preparing next year's budgets, we just discussed, whenever we met, when was it, Wednesday, Thursday last week, rolling in some of these small budgetary items for items like downtown Bernardsville and the 5Ks that happened. since this is something that's getting approved in 21 with dollars appropriated in 22, is there anything different that we have to do, or we just continue as we had planned?
You mean for 21?
Well, this is a 22, March 22.
Yeah, I think we're talking about some of the borough costs. Chad?
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, Chad, I don't.
Yeah, we can deal
Question?
with it in the finance committee. I know that we were looking to roll a lot of these costs up into a budgetary item, so we didn't have to spend time.
What borough costs would there be for the shuffle?
There's
Oh, I'm sorry. Now I understand.
Yeah, it's
so
like
we have
$1,000 for
we
police.
always staff these things, whether it's a borough shuffle or whether it's the farmer's market or these other items. If this is a technical question that can be left for the finance committee.
I thought the organizers of the event would pay for any extra, for example, police activity or things like that. No.
Well, it's still, the discussion was it's still a community event that serves the community, and the police work for the community. So why doesn't the community pay for it? That was kind of our discussion about that.
Yeah.
Nothing got resolved, but it was something we brought up.
Yeah, there's essentially two options. Option A is the borough does it. Option B, we charge nonprofits the same as we would charge a contractor to have a police presence. We don't really never sort of contemplated that sort of community partnership type thing, where it's not the rec department that's driving the event, but maybe some other nonprofit group in town.
So this is something that the finance committee is discussing implementing. It's not in place now.
Correct.
No, just a philosophical discussion.
Because I just know for the 5K, downtown Bernardsville had to pay for the police overtime.
Yes. Yeah, and sometimes what happens is that makes it almost impossible for some of the smaller nonprofits to do activities because those costs do hamper, their ability to fundraise. So
Well, yeah, no, I recognize that because when we were at the time, we were thinking that we would have the bike race. That was what Councilman Donahue and I were trying to work with the tour of Somerville. We were thinking about how we were going to have to fundraise because we were going to have to pay for the police overtime, which is not a small bill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, and I think, Jeff, at the end of the day, as we deliberate on this, I think there's a more efficient way to do this. I use the word efficient. And, these are things that we'll deliberate on in the finance committee as we start to work on the budget for next year.
Yeah. But Hillary, don't worry about it yet.
Yeah, and I'm interjecting a conversation that isn't relationship to Hillary, so I apologize for that.
But I saw you have all your paperwork in. You're good. You're so organized. That's terrific. And we look forward to it. I think you have our approval, support, whatever you need.
Great. Thank you so much.
All righty. Correspondence? I don't think we had any. Did we, Anthony?
No, we didn't.
Okay. Any unfinished business?
Tom, did you get an update from Chief Valentine on the service at Bedwell by any chance? BMS?
That Verizon
The cell service?
Yeah. Well, I don't, but is the problem continuing today? My last update was that they were working on it on Friday.
Yeah,
It's definitely continuing to this week.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's continuing.
I don't know if they've solved it at this point. They may have been working on it, but it's still, from postings on the bubble, it's still not working.
No, I know Verizon, the carrier is working on it, but we'll get more information and share it.
And hopefully there'll be a long-term fix. I know it was probably 2 months ago, we approved a new 5G tower on 202, 206 that was supposed to deal with this issue.
Yeah, and it's also multiple. I mean, it's not just Verizon; it's multiple carriers. I think it's AT&T has an issue as well. I'm not sure about T-Mobile, but it's definitely not limited to Verizon. But yeah, I do think that it's, as Tom said, they're aware of it and they're working on it, continue to work on it. So if there's any other updates, yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any new business? Something nobody's thought of. No, nothing new. All right. Then I will entertain a motion for executive session.
I'll move that we adjourn to executive session.
Do you have a second?
Are we going to come out of the executive session to public
No,
again or
we
no?
will not be back.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.